Deep in the Irish countryside stands a castle so feared that many call it the most haunted castle in Ireland. Visitors have reported shadow figures, violent presences, screams in empty halls, and an entity so terrifying that witnesses claim the smell of death followed its appearance. But unlike many ghost stories, the horrors of Leap Castle may not have begun with spirits at all, because hidden beneath these ancient stones lies a history of betrayal, murder, and a dungeon filled with human remains. For centuries, Leap Castle has stood watch over the Irish landscape, its walls bearing witness to violence, tragedy, and mysteries that remain unsolved to this day. Was it the bloodshed that cursed these halls? Or is something far darker still lurking within the shadows? Tonight, we open the vault on the terrifying history of Leap Castle. To understand the legends of Leap Castle, we must first travel back hundreds of years into Ireland's turbulent past. Nestled in County Offaly, atop a rocky outcrop overlooking the surrounding countryside, Leap Castle has dominated the landscape for centuries. Historians disagree on the exact date of its construction, but most believe the original fortress was built sometime between the 13th and 15th centuries. Its strategic location made it an important stronghold, allowing its owners to control the surrounding lands and monitor anyone approaching from miles away. The castle eventually became the seat of the powerful O'Carroll clan, a family known for both their influence and their fierce rivalries. Life in medieval Ireland was often violent and uncertain. Clans fought for territory, power shifted through alliances and betrayals, and disputes were frequently settled by force. Within the thick stone walls of Leap Castle, political intrigue and family conflicts unfolded for generations. But it would be one particular act of betrayal that would forever stain the castle's history. A murder so shocking that many believe its consequences still echo through the halls today. The room where it happened would become known as the Bloody Chapel, and according to legend, the victim never truly left. The most infamous story connected to Leap Castle centres on a brutal act of betrayal that has become part of Irish legend. At the time, the powerful O'Carroll clan was divided by a struggle for leadership. Two brothers stood at the centre of the conflict. One was a priest who served the castle's chapel. The other was a warrior determined to secure power for himself. According to the story, tensions between the brothers grew as questions arose over who would ultimately lead the clan. What happened next would ensure that the castle's name would be remembered for centuries. One day, as the priest stood before the altar conducting mass, members of the clan gathered in worship around him. The ceremony was underway. The chapel was silent. Then, without warning, the doors burst open. His brother stormed into the room with sword in hand. Before anyone could react, he crossed the chapel and attacked. The blade struck the priest at the altar. He collapsed where he stood. The congregation watched in horror as a sacred place became the scene of murder. A brother had slain his own brother during worship. The killing sent shockwaves through the clan and forever changed the castle's history. From that day forward, the room became known as the Bloody Chapel. Many believe the violence committed there left a permanent mark on the castles. Over the centuries, visitors have claimed to feel an overwhelming sense of unease within the chapel. Some report sudden chills. Others describe the feeling of being watched. And a few have claimed to see the figure of a priest appearing briefly before vanishing into the darkness. Whether these reports are evidence of a haunting or simply the power of a tragic story is impossible to know. But the Bloody Chapel remains one of the most feared locations inside Leap Castle. And according to legend, the horrors of the castle were only beginning. For centuries, stories of violence and death surrounded Leap Castle. But in the early 20th century, a discovery beneath the castle appeared to give those stories a chilling sense of reality. After years of neglect, restoration work began on parts of the aging structure. As workers cleared debris and explored areas that had been sealed off for generations, they made an unexpected discovery. Hidden deep within the castle was a small chamber concealed behind a trapdoor. At first glance, it appeared to be little more than an underground room, but as the excavation continued, the true nature of the chamber became horrifyingly clear. Inside were human remains, not one skeleton, not a handful of bones, but the remains of numerous individuals scattered throughout the hidden space. According to accounts of the discovery, the chamber contained a wooden structure fitted with iron spikes. Researchers believe victims may have fallen through the trapdoor above and become trapped below. Those who survived the fall would have found themselves unable to escape, in darkness, in isolation, waiting for a rescue that would never come. As workers continued removing the remains, story after story emerged about the grim purpose the chamber may have served. Some estimates suggested that hundreds of people could have died there over the centuries, whether prisoners, enemies, or unfortunate victims of clan warfare remains uncertain. What is certain is that the discovery transformed Leap Castle from a place of legend into a place connected to real human tragedy. The hidden chamber became known as the oubliette, a French word meaning a place of forgetting, a fitting name for a prison designed to ensure that those inside would simply disappear. The discovery shocked historians and fueled the belief that the castle's violent past might still linger within its walls. And, if the stories are true, something far more frightening than human cruelty may also call Leap Castle home. A presence many witnesses would later describe as pure evil. Of all the legends surrounding Leap Castle, none is more feared than the entity known simply as the Elemental. Unlike the reports of ghostly figures or lingering spirits, witnesses have described something far more disturbing, something they struggled to explain. Stories of the Elemental have circulated for generations. Those who claim to have encountered it often describe a dark, unnatural presence, unlike anything they had experienced before. Descriptions vary from witness to witness, yet certain details appear again and again. Many describe a figure that seemed almost human in shape, but not entirely human. Its face was said to be twisted and distorted. Its body appeared thin and shadow-like. Some reported seeing dark holes where its eyes should have been. Others claimed the eyes glowed faintly from the darkness. But perhaps the most unsettling detail was not its appearance, it was the smell. Witnesses frequently described an overwhelming odor of decay, a stench compared to rotting flesh, sulfur, or something long dead. Several visitors reported feeling intense fear the moment they sensed its presence. Some claimed they became physically ill. Others said they felt an invisible force watching them from the darkness. One account tells of a visitor who awoke suddenly during the night. As their eyes adjusted to the darkness, they noticed a figure standing silently in the room, motionless, watching. The witness later described feeling a terror so intense that they were unable to move, and then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the figure was gone. Over the years, paranormal investigators have attempted to explain these reports. Some believe the stories are the result of suggestion and expectation. Others argue that centuries of legends have influenced what visitors think they see. Yet for those who claim to have encountered the Elemental, the experience felt very real. Whether it is a spirit, a product of imagination, or something else entirely remains unknown. But even today, many visitors consider the elemental to be the most terrifying legend associated with Leap Castle. A dark presence said to lurk within the castle's ancient walls, waiting, watching, and perhaps refusing to leave. Today, Leap Castle remains one of the most famous haunted locations in Ireland. Despite centuries of conflict, neglect, and restoration, the castle still stands, attracting visitors from around the world. Many come for its history. Others come hoping to experience something they cannot explain. Over the years, paranormal investigators, historians, television crews, and curious travelers have all passed through its ancient halls. Some leave with nothing more than photographs and stories. Others leave convinced that something unusual resides within the castle. Reports continue to surface from visitors who claim to hear unexplained footsteps echoing through empty rooms. Some describe doors opening on their own. Others report sudden cold spots, strange sounds, or the feeling of being watched when no one else is present. While such experiences are impossible to verify, they have helped keep the legend of Leap Castle alive. The castle's current owners have spent years preserving and restoring the historic structure. Their efforts have allowed one of Ireland's most fascinating castles to survive into the modern age. Today, visitors can walk through rooms where centuries of history unfolded. They can stand inside the bloody chapel, look out across the Irish countryside, and descend toward the areas where the infamous oubliette was discovered. For some, Leap Castle is simply a remarkable piece of Irish history. For others, it is a place where the past refuses to remain buried. A location where stories of betrayal, violence, and unexplained encounters have become woven into the very stones of the castle itself. And perhaps that is why the mystery continues to endure. Because no matter how many people visit, no matter how many investigations take place, the questions remain unanswered. What truly happened within these walls? Are the hauntings nothing more than legends passed down through generations? Or does something still linger inside Ireland's most haunted castle? The answer, like so many mysteries, may never be known. Today, Leap Castle remains standing after centuries of violence, tragedy, and mystery. Whether its hauntings are real, imagined, or simply echoes of a brutal past, remains unknown. But for those who have walked its halls after dark, one question still lingers. Are the ghosts of Leap Castle merely stories, or are they still waiting among the shadows? If you enjoyed tonight's journey into dark history and haunted legends, subscribe to Midnight Archives Vault and join us as we uncover the world's most chilling mysteries. Until next time, keep searching the shadows.